The iron gate of the Femi mansion was taller than a house and black like night. Benita stood in front of it, her hands shaking, her phone already recording. Cars slowed, people pointed their cameras too. A little girl's laugh floated from inside the compound, light like a bell. Benita's heart jumped. "Linda!" she shouted. Guards in dark suits rushed forward. A long, shiny SUV rolled to the gate. Michael stepped out, first clean, cold, careful. Beside him came his father, Chief Femi, the billionaire everyone feared. "Remove her," the chief said, calm like a knife. A nanny carried a child past the porch. The child's hair was the same soft curls Benita remembered, the same round cheeks, the same eyes. "Mama!" the little girl cried, and reached her hand toward the gate. The guards grabbed Benita's arms. The crowd gasped. The gate began to slide shut. That was the moment the whole city later saw in the trending video. The video titled, "They took her child away from her, but she returned to fight her billionaire in-laws." But this is how the story began. Benita met Michael in a bright cafe that smelled like sugar and bread. He smiled big. He talked about books she liked and places she wished to see. He paid for her tea and asked about her dreams. He seemed gentle. He wore a simple watch. He said, "I want a simple life." It felt safe. They dated for a short time. He was always busy with family work, but he sent sweet texts. He brought flowers twice. He rushed the wedding. "My father is sick," he said. "He wants to see me settle." Benita wanted to believe this was love. She said yes. After the wedding, the house felt colder. Michael stopped asking about her day. He slept in the study. He left early. He came home late. When Benita told him she was pregnant, he nodded, but his eyes looked past her shoulder. "That's good," he said, like he was reading a list. Chief Femi began visiting more. He liked things quiet and perfect. He liked rules. "An heir must have the Femi name," he said. "The child will be raised our way." Benita tried to smile. She bought tiny socks. She sang to her belly. She told her baby stories about bright mornings and warm hugs. Linda was born on a rainy night. She was beautiful round cheeks, tiny fists, eyes that searched for faces. Benita held her close and felt like light was living in her arms. Michael stood by the window, phone to his ear. The chief came in with 2 lawyers and a nanny Benita had never seen. "We will take the baby home to rest," Chief Femi said. "You need sleep." "No," Benita said softly. "She needs me." The nanny reached for Linda. Benita pulled back. Michael didn't look at her. "It's better this way," he said. The lawyers set papers on the tray. Words like temporary custody and household care swam in front of her eyes. Benita was weak, dizzy, still hurting from birth. The nurse didn't meet her gaze. They took her child away. The room went quiet except for the rain. Days turned to weeks. Michael asked for a divorce. "It's not working," he said, as if he was closing an app. Visits were allowed only under strict watch. Benita had to sit in a stiff chair while a nanny timed her hugs. When she kissed Linda's forehead, a guard cleared his throat. "Time," he said. Benita cried. Then, slowly, she stopped crying. She started writing. Names, dates, every rule they broke, every time they were late, every time Linda cried at the end of a visit. Benita prayed. She saved money. She looked for a good lawyer, but the good ones were too costly. The Femi family won the first fight. The papers said so. That night, Benita stood in her small room and looked at a photo of Linda. "I will fight," she whispered. "I will not stop." And now, here she was again at the mansion gate, phone in her hand, voice steady. "Chief Femi," she called. "Michael, give me my child or meet me in court." The guards pulled harder. A small hand slid between the bars. "Mama?" Linda said, eyes wide. A police siren wailed in the distance. Chief Femi lifted one finger. "Shut the gate." The metal began to grind closed as Benita took one last step forward. The gate clanged shut, but the image of Linda's little hand reaching out stayed in Benita's mind like a fresh wound. She hadn't planned for the moment to be public, she just wanted proof. But by that evening, the video was everywhere. Someone in the crowd had posted it online with the title, "They took her child away from her, but she returned to fight her billionaire in-laws. The comments were fierce. Some called Benita brave, others called her foolish. But one thing was certain, people were talking. In her room, Benita sat on the edge of her bed, her phone buzzing non-stop. She scrolled through the comments. How can they separate a child from her mother like that? The Femi family has always thought they are above the law. We should help her get a lawyer. Her chest tightened. For months, she had been screaming into silence, and now, people were listening. Her neighbor, Mama Ronke, knocked on her door, holding a steaming plate of jollof rice. "You've shaken the city, my daughter," she said. "Now use it. Don't let them bury this story." Benita hadn't eaten all day, but she forced a smile. "They have lawyers, Mama. They have money. All I have is, you have the truth," Mama Ronke interrupted. "And the truth is a weapon if you know how to use it." Inside the Femi household, the atmosphere was tense. Michael slammed his phone on the table. "She's making us look bad." Chief Femi didn't flinch. "It's not about looking bad, Michael. It's about control. If we give her an inch, she will take the child." Michael hesitated. "She's Linda's mother. She was a mistake," the chief said coldly. "And mistakes must be corrected." That night, Benita opened a blank document on her old laptop. She typed out everything: how they took Linda from the hospital, the limited visits, the conditions they imposed. She listed every insult, every threat, every tear, but she knew it wouldn't be enough. She needed noise. The next morning, she walked into the office of Human Right FM, the radio station famous for confronting the powerful. The receptionist looked up, frowning. "Do you have an appointment?" Benita took a deep breath. "No. But I have a story that will make this whole country listen." The receptionist studied her face, then picked up the phone. 2 days later, Benita sat in front of a microphone. Her voice trembled at first, but the more she spoke, the steadier it became. She described holding her newborn and watching her be taken away. She spoke about the gated mansion, the strict visits, the way Linda cried when time was up. The host leaned forward. "And what do you want from them now?" Benita's eyes burned. "I want my daughter. And if they won't give her to me, then I will fight for her, no matter how rich they are." The lines lit up. Callers cried, shouted, and pledged support. By the end of the day, hashtags were trending. Reporters camped outside the Femi mansion. But that night, a black car stopped outside Benita's street. A man in a suit stepped out, holding an envelope. He didn't smile. "This is from Chief Femi," he said. "It's not a threat. Yet." Benita opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 4 words written in bold. "This war will hurt." She looked up, but the man was already gone, and for the first time, she wondered if she was ready for the kind of fight she had just started. Benita barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Linda's face pressed against the mansion gate, calling, "Mama." And then the cold words in that envelope. "This war will hurt." By morning, she knew 2 things: Chief Femi would not back down, and if she wanted to win, she couldn't either. At 10 a.m., her phone buzzed with a notification. Her name was all over the internet again, but this time, it wasn't in her voice. A statement had been released from the Femi family's official PR account. "For the safety and well-being of the child, we have restricted her biological mother's access due to concerns over her financial instability and questionable associations. This is not an act of malice, but of protection." Benita read it 3 times, her hands trembling. Questionable associations? They were painting her as a danger to her own daughter. Mama Ronke stormed into the room, waving her own phone. "See what they are saying. You must respond before they turn the people against you." But Benita shook her head slowly. "No, let them talk first. I'll give them something they won't be able to silence." 2 weeks earlier, during one of her supervised visits, Benita had noticed something. Linda had bruises on her arm, faint but fresh. When she asked, the nanny claimed Linda had fallen while playing. Benita had taken a quick photo when no one was looking. She hadn't wanted to use it, but now she saw it for what it was, a weapon. She uploaded the picture with a caption, "My daughter under their so-called protection. You decide who she's safer with." Within hours, the photo went viral. The comments shifted. The hashtags returned. More journalists started calling. Inside the Femi estate, Chief Femi slammed his glass onto the table. "She's playing dirty." Michael rubbed his temples. "She's fighting for her child, Dad." You expected her to just walk away. The chief's eyes narrowed. You forget yourself, Michael. That child is the future of this family. And if Benita wants a war, she will get it. 3 days later, a strange message arrived in Benita's inbox from a private account. I have information that can destroy the Femi family in court. Meet me tomorrow at 8 p.m. Freedom Park. Come alone. Benita stared at the screen. It could be a trap. But what if it wasn't? That night, she walked into the quiet park under the yellow glow of streetlights. A hooded figure stepped out from behind a tree, glancing around nervously. You don't know me, the person said in a low voice. But I've worked in the mansion for years. I know things that will make them beg to give you your daughter back. Benita's heart pounded. What things? She asked. The figure looked over her shoulder and froze. Footsteps. Heavy, fast, coming from the darkness. Run, the figure whispered, and before Benita could move, a black SUV pulled up to the park gate, headlights blazing straight at her. The SUV's headlights burned into Benita's eyes, forcing her to shield her face. The hooded figure bolted into the shadows without another word. The driver's door swung open, and a tall man in a black suit stepped out. His voice was calm, too calm. Mrs. Benita, he said, the chief would like to speak to you. Now, Benita took a step back. Tell him I'll see him in court. The man's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. If you refuse, you may not get another chance to see your daughter ever. Her breath caught. Was this a threat or a warning? She scanned the park gate behind her, her only exit. But another man was already leaning on it casually, blocking the way. Inside the SUV, they escorted her inside the vehicle. The doors locked automatically. The air smelled like leather and faint cologne. As they drove, her phone buzzed in her bag. She tried to reach for it, but the man beside her shook his head. No recording, no calls. The city lights blurred past until they reached the familiar towering gate of the Femi mansion. It rolled open smoothly, as if swallowing her whole. Michael was waiting in the driveway. He looked nervous, hands deep in his pockets. Benita, you shouldn't have come like this, he muttered. She glared at him. I didn't come by choice. Chief Femi appeared on the porch, flanked by 2 lawyers. His voice carried across the courtyard. Come inside. We will talk like family. They led her into the grand sitting room, marble floors shining under the chandelier. Chief Femi sat at the head of a long table. I will be direct, he said. End your public campaign, delete the photo, and never speak to the press about this family again. In exchange, you will get limited monthly visits with your daughter unsupervised. Benita felt heat rising in her chest. Unsupervised? That's not enough. I want joint custody. Michael shifted uncomfortably. The chief's expression didn't change. Joint custody will never happen. Not while I'm alive. Benita leaned forward, meeting his gaze. Then I'll fight until you're gone, or until the court forces you to obey the law. For the first time, a crack appeared in the chief's calm. His hand clenched the arm of his chair. You think the law will save you? We are the law here. Benita smiled faintly. Not this time. She reached into her bag and placed a small black USB drive on the table. I know things too, and if I don't walk out of here in one piece, everything on here will be online before morning. The chief's eyes darkened. What's on it? Enough to make your empire bleed, she said. The room went silent. Before anyone could speak, the mansion gate creaked open again. A security guard rushed in, whispering something into the chief's ear. His face paled slightly. Who? The chief demanded. The guard hesitated. Sir, it's the press. And they're live streaming from the gate. The chief's eyes shot back to Benita. You did this, he said quietly. Benita didn't answer. But in her chest, her heart was pounding not just from fear, but from the first spark of hope she'd felt in months. The murmurs outside grew louder until they became a roar. The mansion's front gate was surrounded by journalists, flashing cameras and shouting activists holding placards that read, "A mother's right is not for sale and justice for Benita and Linda." Chief Femi's lawyers exchanged uneasy glances. Michael paced near the window, peeking through the curtains. Dad, this is bad. If they keep recording, they will leave. The chief cut him off sharply. We'll have them removed. Benita stood, her voice calm but strong. If you touch them, I'll make sure every one of them gets the evidence I have. And this time, it won't just be about my daughter. It'll be about all the things you've buried. The gate outside rattled as more voices joined the crowd. Someone started chanting her name. Benita. Benita. The reporters had mics pressed against the gate, shouting questions. The chief's face was tight, but Benita noticed the flicker of calculation in his eyes. The Femi business empire was built on a spotless public image. A scandal this size could make their investors run. Michael finally stopped pacing. He looked at his father, then at Benita. "She's not going to stop," he said quietly. "And I think she's right." The chief turned slowly. "You side with her?" "I side with what's fair," Michael replied, his voice low but steady. "She's Linda's mother. And you taught me to protect family, didn't you?" Benita placed her hands on the table. "Here's my deal. Joint custody. I see my daughter without restrictions, and I get it in writing signed today. In return, I end the campaign, take down the posts, and you keep your precious reputation intact." The chief's jaw tightened. For a moment, Benita thought he would refuse. But the shouting outside grew louder, now mixed with chants of, "Shame on you." Finally, with a slow exhale, Chief Femi nodded to his lawyers. "Draw it up." 15 minutes later, the agreement was in front of them. The words, "joint custody," sat boldly on the page. Benita read it twice, her eyes blurring, before she signed her name. Michael signed next, and finally, the chief, his pen pressing so hard it almost tore the paper. When it was done, Benita felt her knees weaken. But she stayed tall. A few minutes later, the mansion gate rolled open. The crowd fell silent as Benita stepped outside, holding Linda's tiny hand. The little girl's eyes were wide but bright. "Mama," she whispered, leaning against her. Cameras flashed, people cheered, some cried. Benita bent down, kissed her daughter's forehead, and looked straight into the nearest camera. "We fought, and we won. No mother should have to beg for her child," she said firmly. Behind her, Chief Femi stood on the porch, his face unreadable. But the gate, once the barrier keeping her out, was now the path leading her and Linda into a new life. And for the first time in years, Benita felt like she was truly free. Please, like this video and subscribe to our channel for interesting videos.